too high body fat, shit hormones. Too low body fat, shit hormones. So it's like having a builder. You give the builder all the supplies because you're in a calorie surplus now.
Yeah.
But the builder's fucking clueless. He doesn't know what to do with it.
Because they've been without it for so long.
Yeah. So he just stares at it.
Shit.
So that's how it works with when your hormones are so low, your body won't produce burn fat, or it won't. It's not exactly the same as that. It's just harder. Your body will still do it, just not at an efficient rate.
So you just need to wait time. So you're refeeding.
It's a calories over time, not a refeed. Like if I had 20,000 calories thrown at myself,
it's just still going to work.
It doesn't mean it will. It could. Yeah. It doesn't mean it will. It's a probability rate.
Yeah.
So it's more probable to have calories over time. Yeah, like you keep calories a surplus over time.
Yeah.
That way you'll put in minimal. And then your body will fix it rather than throw calories at one point.
Yeah.
That's why it's more better to have a calorie surplus over multiple days than just one refeed.
Yeah, because you just wouldn't fix it straight away. Fucking it. So your body just like learn that it's now getting food continuously, so it doesn't have to. It's not gonna die.
Yeah, so exactly. It's the same goes. So that's what people think. So people, the biggest thing to understand. I'll maybe leave it for this stuff. But I was like, in theory, my hormones were. When people say they can't lose fat because of hormones, I was a prime example of no. Just if you keep constant activity, constant consistency, regardless of how shit your hormones are. In theory, my hormones were that of like an 80-year-old man.
Really?
By the end, and I was at my leanest state and theoretically my best stage look. Yeah. And I could have went further.
Shit.
Yeah, and I wasn't shut down. Another thing to note is you'd think I'd feel shit.
And you were fine?
I was fine. I had 2 Medi-Check hormone tests between my first prep, where I was actually higher body fat, higher stage weight, was theoretically more successful in my department, and between my current, my most recent prep, because it's done now, when you compared the two, my first prep, I actually gained, I think, 8 to 10 kilos within the rebound, or the reverse, how you want to call it, within, I think it was 8 weeks. So I went from 68 to like 80. I looked like a balloon moon face. Yeah. It's called moon face. You just go like a hamster. But then this one, I was like, okay, no, I'm going to do it very careful. I'm going to keep my activity level high. I'm going to push up my food slowly and maybe a little bit more militant data-wise. Yeah. So I can see if it's replicable and it could work. Like a Goldilocks. There has to be a line between being too severe and too severe either way. So maybe this was borderline and the other severe. Right. But then, because I found obviously at 5 weeks post, it's like, oh, my test is still at level, it's 5. Yeah, some enhanced guys can be 100 for reference. The scale goes from 9 to, I believe it's 30, and enhanced can be up to 100 even plus. Yeah, and PCP is below 9, and theoretically NHS could give me jobs. Yeah, so like that's how low it was, and that was 5 weeks post show. So imagine it was. Shit. So in theory, my body was in a state that was not optimal for fat loss. This test helps that for mood, for sleep, for muscle retention, ability to actually maybe keep things going intense-wise, a lot of things. And I was still dropping at a very good rate because my activity level was so hard and I was so consistent that regardless of how poor my hormones were or how genetically ruined I was, or like I say, if I had bad genetics or I had a really hard time, I had a thyroid issue. It doesn't make a difference. I was working so hard and so much with as little food as I could maintain that it was always going to happen. Jesus. And that's why I was like, if you're not losing weight on 1,200 calories, you've either got incredibly low activity or you're not.
You're lying. That's insane. I want to jump into all that because it blows my mind, and not just the fact that you've done it, but the mindset around that is just insane, because you must have had to be like severely driven to be able to force yourself through all that. No? Oh,
as in so my first prep, I had a coach, and me as an individual, probably most of us in this industry, individual, we're like, okay, how can we keep progressing? Yeah, so I was like, okay, so my whole thing is if I can learn something, I can replicate it. Okay, and if I can replicate it, we can hopefully improve it. So I was like, okay, I learned enough to take myself through this prep. I was like, I'm going to take myself through this prep and see how much more improvements I can get. So I got much leaner. So my first stage weight when I won my novice British, I think that was my last show in 2022 with the MPA.
So that was your first, and that was the second comp.
That was my third competition.
Okay.
WNBF first timers came fourth. I then had my NPA and won. I then went to the finals of that one, and that's what was third.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was me. I believe stage weight at 68 kilos.
Right.
Quite lean. And my final show in Poland, I was depleted again, so no carbs in my system.
Yeah.
If I on stage, I think I was 64.8.
Right.
But depleted, I was like 64. I was like, it's always kind of weird with the traveling and the water retention. It depends like how much water you had. I could have been 63 if I had no water.
Okay.
But I pushed water up that time just to be a bit fuller. But it's just the illusion. I looked bigger at 64 than I did at 66 because of I had more water in my system. But yeah, it was just one of these ones. I was okay. I'm going to take myself through prep because I think I can go much harder. And as I'm the perfect candidate for myself. I'm super disciplined. I'm incredibly data orientated. Like I know every step, every macro, every sleep. I'll record everything. Every stool sample, I'll do everything if I have to. Yeah. And I was like, okay, so if I have every single thing, a lot of coaches will either forget to ask it, or they've got other priorities. They've got so much other people that they've got to do all this for. That it kind of gets lost in transition. So if I can have everything recorded, and it's so systematic, I can replicate that for other clients and potential people that I'm taking to prep. If there's a system in place, it's like an engineering setup. It's okay. This is how I fix a machine. If I have that for prep, everyone's a little bit individual, but I've got a very, very good systematic approach. Okay, if that works, we do that. If that doesn't work, we do this. Okay, there's always more than just one right answer and one wrong answer. If you want to lose weight, okay, are we pushing your activity level up? Are we taking your food down? Have you got no time? Then you have to take food down. Are you lying about having no time available? All this sort of thing. So I was like, so once it got to the point, I was like, I didn't really feel like it was hard. More that I was so, my whole goal was, okay, if I'm taking myself to stage, I need to view myself not as Stuart, but I need to view myself as subject A. I need to treat myself like a client. So I need to do my own check-ins, which is weird. I need to make sure that everything that I'm doing, I'm recording exactly what my coach would want. Is he hitting his steps? Okay, he is. Is he hitting his cardio? He is. Has he measured his cardio getting intense? Or if it's getting more intense, we're burning more. Is his fatigue level okay? Good. Is his mindset there? Mindset was always going to be there. Very driven. Is he capable of recovering? Is he sleeping well? And then you're like, okay, if he's ticking all boxes, we can then look at how his mood going. If he's not ticking boxes, we're still going to be behind the schedule. If you think to lose 10 kilos, 7,700 calories times by 10. So we need to have 77,000 calories to come out of our frame. If you have to do that in 5 weeks, you obviously divide it by the amount of days. I was like, that might be like a 1,000 calorie deficit.
Wow.
Is that possible if you're on 1,800 calorie food at the start? No, you failed. So it's about, you've got to have the right time scale. So my prep was so long because I thought I went off my original stage weight. So my last stage weight, the leanest I got was 68. So I was like, okay, if I'm going to be 68 again, and I say I've got 20 weeks, that's easy. That's how it worked. I was like, okay, so I'm going to look better because I'm going to have more muscle mass because it's been 2 years. I'm going to, my body fat will be sitting differently. I'm much more mature. My body's got more muscle maturity, which looks different. It's kind of like beef, as like 40-year-old beef versus like Tesco beef. You can't. They're the same weight. They just taste different. It's kind of like that on stage. It's like it just looks different. So muscle maturity is one of the things they talk about on shows. We're like, okay, that person's got more muscle maturity. He's like, what is that? It's not really easy to describe. You just describe it as a grittier, harder look. Even they might be the exact same weight and body fat, they just look better.
That's insane. I never even considered maturity of muscle before, but it makes total sense. If you've seen like a 20-year-old and a 40-year-old, both bodybuilders are going to look totally different. Even
if the 20-year-old is a genetic phenomenon and he has the exact same weight and he has the exact same structure, let's go with everything being the same. The 40-year-old will still probably look better. It just looks more vintage.
And
that's why a lot of the things that I've really got on early in my career, I'm only in my second season, is two aspects. Why are we doing bodybuilding? what's the goal?
Yeah.
Now everyone's general goal of bodybuilding is either from a vain sense where they want others to think they're great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they want
Just purely
accolades.
aesthetic.
No, they want accolades. They want to. Everyone wants to win.
Yeah.
Everyone wants trophies, medals. They want people to think, wow, look at that guy. He works hard.
Yeah.
That's from a vain nature. Yeah. But that's only going to take you so far. So especially when it comes to self-coaching, I feel, to stage, that's only going to take you so far, because after your first show, if you say came 9th, you're just going to go into that pit of what you've heard everyone probably do with bodybuilding. It's you're in the trenches. Oh, it's so hard. I'm slugfest, and it becomes incredibly demoralizing. There's a certain point of uncomfortability that everyone will eventually cave. Yeah. If your brain fails, your body will fail too. Yeah. So the whole purpose is most bodybuilders will get to that trenches point very quickly if they're not a genetic phenomenon or their structure is not brilliant, because you can't change structure. You can enhance it, but you can't change it. If you've got wide clavicles, you've got wide clavicles. Yeah. If you've got really, really narrow wrists and calves, it's going to be hard to really hide that. If your abs are asymmetrical or they're symmetrical, you can't change that. You can just enhance someone else to make it look better. But the whole purpose is when you get to the point when your whole bodybuilding career is about just trying to win, you will have that attitude where you're in the trenches a lot. Yeah. And that will make it very hard for you to go further, because you can only sit on a nail for so long before you've given up. You have to move seats. Yeah. Whereas if you go in with the mindset of what is bodybuilding theoretically, the art of it, this is why I get so excited about it, is the whole purpose of bodybuilding is to take your body to the absolute limit it can possibly go. Yeah. Progress, as an original thing I said about the coaching myself to it. Yeah. It's about putting on a show. It's a bodybuilding show. Yeah. Which means you have to go in it with a sort of demeanor that you don't show arrogance on stage. Okay. But you're peacocking.
Peacocking humbly.
Yeah, you're peacocking humbly. So I was like, so a lot of the things, like obviously I coached some young guys and females last year as well to stage, and I was like, the whole purpose is if you've set your expectations so much on winning, you do want to win, because that's what's going to get you on your Stairmaster for like say 5 a.m. before work. Yeah, for an hour when you got to be arsed. Yeah, that's going to get you going. But if that's your only reason, and you've made that your only reason, I want to compete because I want everyone else to think I'm great because I came first. Yeah, in a PCA show. Yeah, you're going to fail eventually, and when you don't get that accolades, if not in your first year, your second year, you're going to be like, okay, well, I'm not good. Yeah. Because in every year you think I should progress, I should get better, I should get more rewards, I should get higher placings. You only can beat the people who turn up on the day. Your first year you can be against complete hopeless people. Yeah. The second season you can be the best. You could be in the best condition at the end of the season, but at the end of the season everyone's at their best. Yeah. And you could place last. And that's your best ever look. So now you're demoralised. You hate it, and you're going to have 2 more shows after it, and you've given up. And now the mind's given up, so your body will too. Yeah. So that's why. So the whole purpose is like how you do your internal drive. That's why I said the mental thing is more important than the physical. If you look at yourself not as a person, as you go back to it, and we look at ourselves as a subject, try get the emotions out of it. We're trying to help the emotions, trying to like stroke it, make sure that we're comfortable. Yeah. But the emotions aren't going to get us A and B. In the theory, if we didn't have emotions, even better. Yeah, that'd be the best thing for probably strongman, for bodybuilding, for any sport, because you'd be driven, because you wouldn't trip yourself up. Yeah. So that's why if you can kind of pull the emotions out and just look at yourself like a robot, it makes it very easy. But that's very hard to do. It's a lot easier. That's the biggest thing. That's why I was successful with what I did, because I didn't view myself as Stuart or have emotions. I have emotions, but I didn't let those emotions define me. I understood that my hormones are going to come up and down like a wave. I'm feeling tired, I'm on low food, I'm hungry, I can't sleep. Why is that? Well, I've got low food. I'm on a huge deficit right now. I'm tired, my lifts are going down. Does my lift going down by 2 kilos on a dumbbell chest press mean that I've now dropped 4 inches of my chest? No. If I maintain my protein high enough and maintain a deficit that's not too aggressive, will I lose less muscle mass? Yes. Am I doing that? Yes. So it's just like, try to take the positives, like, okay, hold on, I'm not going to lose that much muscle, I'm fine, I'm chilling. Any muscle that I gain, any muscle when I go back to the surplus, will come back 3 times as quick. So I was like, because of the muscle memory side of things. So I was like, okay, I'm fine. And my first season, as I a coach or someone really clarify all this, and now I know all this, it makes it a lot easier to kind of have that rabbit hole in your brain where you're kind of scrambling, and then you're like, okay, if I can keep my brain clear, that's fine. And that's why my whole prep, the biggest thing that I did was I sacrificed performance for cognitive function.
Okay.
So when we asked you about earlier about your cut, about how low you took your fats and carbs, you talked about your percentage. Yeah. I kept my fats probably about 0.8 times my body weight in kg.
Okay.
So and where my carbs, I almost got down carb neutral for months. Yeah. And now again, ketogenesis will happen probably. Yeah. But as my fats were trying to keep my hormones as calm and as possible, that helps my cognitive function. I wasn't as stressed emotionally. I knew I thought all much clearer about, oh God, my weights are coming down, and then it magically came up again. It was like a bell curve. They plummeted and they spiked again because I probably relaxed more. I was like, okay, I'll just come and do it. If I enjoy it, I enjoy it.
Yeah, and that's a massive. I think understanding actually what's happening is a massive pull. Like I kind of view it similarly for myself. Like when I'm programming for myself, I'm not thinking about how I feel about it. There's no emotion in it at all. It's this is what that athlete needs to do to get to where they want to be. And like it might be a case when after I've written it and then I go and actually start practicing it, I'm like, what dickhead wrote this program?
Like this volume is incredibly high. I was like, should this volume be as high?
Yeah. But that's like somebody else writing it for me, or how I would write it for somebody else. That I know that's what they need to do to get to that point. Do you know what I mean? But I think having the understanding of it, knowing why it's happening, that's a massive instant. Because then if you don't understand, don't know, then it is just going to be an emotional response to it, and you're like, this is shit. I don't like it. It's not working. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? As I said, there's about the nail. There's a certain level of uncomfortability that everyone will jump shit. Yeah. That goes with when January starts. Okay. Yeah. People are going to come in. Everyone's going to come in January. It's good. It's a positive thing that they've got so much momentum and they're enjoying it. I love January because everyone has that. You can just tell the vibe. You can just feel that energy in the gym. No matter what gym it is that people are wanting to prosper and change. Yeah. But the issue is they come in as the biggest thing that I say with new clients and old clients is, maybe even probably yourself, is if you compared yourself 5 to 10 years ago, you would not. I think you would not view yourself the same person. Yeah. I feel like you would. That's nowhere me. So because you've cut ties. You've just come. So you imagine you've got a ball and chain. Okay, the old person is your ball. Okay, and quite a lot of people in January will want their old habits and what they're doing is it's a means of an end rather than okay, this is what I want to keep up. Okay. So this is my habit. This is who I'm going to become. So rather than they're looking, okay, what do I want to look like? Yeah, where do I want to go? Do I want to? Again, it could be like life goals as well, but. I want to be fit by 40. Yeah. I want to get into my wedding dress. They're just that's their destination because they want to then go back. Yeah. And they get annoyed that they either regress, they get burnt out, or they just never get there. And it's because of the analogy, they've got the ball and chain. They've got all the habits and their old person who they are. Yeah. Overweight Deborah. Comfort. Andy that doesn't do anything but drink beers after the work. Yeah. And what you're doing is, okay, Andy has now went into the gym 4 times. He's doing an hour cardio. Not every day. He's let's just say an hour broken up across a week. He's got no idea. He's not tracking because you can still lose weight without tracking. Yeah. Let's go. He's not a perfect client. Yeah. But he's now not tracking, but he's cut out everything. I mean everything. He's no Chineses, no refeeds, no bad meals, no takeaways for a month. I'm doing that. Yeah. And he's doing it. He's doing well. Yeah, he's doing it. Everything's going well. He's cut out everything. He's just having protein, he's having veg, and he's cut out bread because bread's the enemy, apparently. Yeah, and he's just having Weetabix, but he's having skimmed milk. He hates it. But he's doing it, and he's lost now, let's say, 5 kilos across this month. But he's went all in. Yeah. And he still thinks, because he's not wanting to think about who do I want to become, what that Andy that's lost 20 kilos, that's went from 100 kilos to 80, I want to become him. What is his habits? How does he keep it up? How does he keep it maintainable? How does he keep doing what he's doing? He's just thinking about how did Andy get there? Because once he gets there, he regresses because he wants to do his old habits. Yeah. So what happens eventually, a lot of January clients or January people in general, is they will burn out like Icarus. Yeah, they'll get to a point, they'll get close to the sun, and then they burn out.
Yeah.
And then so they'll have 1 week where, okay, actually I had my takeaway now. Andy had his takeaway. Well, one takeaway won't make a difference. And then the habit starts setting in because, okay, actually, hold on, I still lost a little bit there.
Yeah.
Okay, what else can I get away with? And you start regressing, and then there's a point of regression where they feel they failed. And then okay, well, I'll go back. I'll start. Oh, failed on Tuesday. Well, I'll focus next week.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's because they've not cut ties. The most successful clients are those that have completely cut ties, and you cannot compare the same person as they were.
Yeah.
So one person has completely changed, and you couldn't even tell that was their old habits. Yeah. Those are people that will keep their goals, and they'll keep their look, and they'll progress.
Yeah.
But those that are still thinking about how they used to be, oh, I actually really enjoy drinks. Yeah. I'm not saying you can't drink, but I really actually enjoy. I really hate cardio. Yeah, you don't have to like cardio, but you have to understand the means of an end. Yeah. Oh, I don't actually like going for walks to keep my steps high. Yeah. Oh, I really prefer not working out in the morning and sleeping in my bed sleep 10 hours sleep. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of the gym. And as all you're looking at, these are all negatives. That's why I said about the discomfort level.
Yeah.
So the best way for a client to be successful is, unfortunately, in my case from experience, is most people can't do what I did, or probably yourself, when you went straight to a cut and started to lose so much. Yeah. And just went all in. It's great. I'm just, because that's your mindset of an athlete of a percent, like a 1%. I'm going to go all in. Most people can't, even bodybuilders can't self-coach.
Yeah.
But you go all in. Prep starts, you go all in. It doesn't matter if you're cardio, it doesn't matter how uncomfortable you are, because you've got a very, very focused goal.
Yeah.
Which is why goal setting is important. But you're so focused on that end goal, you don't care how uncomfortable you are, because you're going to get to that destination. I think if I was to ask you, okay, you're going to become Scottish strongest man, but you have to eat bark and sleep on a bed of nails, you would probably do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Whereas I would say 90% of the population wouldn't.
Yeah.
Because their goal, like, they don't get. Okay, if I asked Linda, to get her wedding dress, she used to eat shit and train every single day. She's like, oh, every single day. And that's kind of the difference. So that's why most people, I would suggest, rather than going all in, going, hey, I want to do my cardio, I'm gonna hit 10,000 steps, I'm gonna track perfectly, all foods gets cut out. You do a ramp up setup. So week 1, you focus on, okay, do you know what? Not even changing anything, because it will come out of Christmas, it will come out of New Year, let's just dial down the shit. Let's take some of the stuff out. Let's just be accountable. Let's see what we're tracking. Let's see what we're eating. Let's see how much food we're having, how much steps we're actually having. Get back to your normal training routine. Don't even change anything. Don't add more cardio, don't add more steps. Week 2, obviously week 1, set goals as well. Where do I want to be? Week 2, align your diet with your goals. Do you want to lose 10 kilos? Again, I said 7,700 calories times 10. That's 77,000. In 100 days, that would be 770 calories deficit. I made this very easy for me. I was like, so could I do that with my current level of food? I've been tracking, I've been having 2,100. 1,400 calorie food, that's incredibly hard. Especially for like 100 days non-stop. That's not maintainable. Do I want to move the goalposts? Do I want to move it longer so the deficit is across 200 days? Okay, that's doable. Or do I want to increase my activity, which means my food doesn't have to drop down too much? So now you're setting where you want to go. So now you're setting, okay, how much food do I want to consume? I'd rather have 5 food because it's going to be more consistent. Always the best approach. Have as high food as you can. Best performance, best sleep. Week 3, we're going to focus on changing our steps and activity levels so we can maintain this higher food approach. Because now you've got momentum. You've not focused on changing everything off the get-go. Week 4, then align your new weights program related to your goal, and you've freshened up the aspect.
I think that I never thought about it before as like a ball and chain thing, like people still being attached to their previous comforts and who they were, but like it totally get, like for me it's people try and change too much all at once, and like say going all in, and especially with January with the new year new me people, and it's like they like who they ideally want to be, and then they change everything to be that person, rather than trying to build up to that person.
That's I said, like they are not trying to become that person. they want to parrot that person.
Yeah.
So it's like wearing a mask. So I'm actually not, I've not became that person.
Yeah.
I'm just masking that's who I am.
Yeah.
Because I don't actually give a shit about it. I just want to look like that.
Yeah.
I want to be like that.
Yeah.
And that's why there's a point where you're going to regress, because you're not only you're fighting your urge to be your normal self,
Yeah.
and you're portraying someone else. That gets very tiring.
Yeah.
People say like if you're really, really introverted and you're trying to be extroverted all the time, it becomes incredibly demoralizing. It's draining.
You just exhaust yourself.
So that's why I said that it all comes back to when it comes to training and performance, even performance sports, is you have to somewhat enjoy what you're doing.
Oh yeah,
there has to be. You have to somewhat enjoy it, because it becomes incredibly hard to do something repetitively, because that's how we progress. Most progressive overload of anything, is it becomes incredibly hard to progress if you hate it all the time. And that's why, like, I would say, if honestly, probably bodybuilding as training is probably one of the most boring sports. As like repetitive over and over again, progressive overload. Like I would say strongman is probably more exciting because you've got different events. Everything's different. It changes quite often. As like you've got very diverse. You've got in sport. You've got ones that as in carrying events. You're actually running. You've got grip strength. Again, I'm not the best at knowing strongman.
It's good. You're doing good.
But as like you've obviously got your actual general compounds. You've got your deadlifts are like very different heights, and it's quite unique because it's like, oh god, this is fun. Okay, your accessories have to change. For that,
all the time,
As like, whereas when it comes to bodybuilding, it's okay, what does my lat do? How does it work? How does it operate?
It's the same for everyone.
It's the same for everyone. Okay. And the big hardest thing when it comes to bodybuilding is there's always going to be a weaker body part. And that weaker body part may take years to grow. So every season, say your judges' feedback, because you get judges' feedback after every show. It might be, okay, hey, your conditioning needs to be improved. They normally, if you've done it right and you've tanned right and you've put yourself in the right class, because again, it's more for the female side, because you've got figure, bikini, you've got it depends if it's enhanced or natural. You've got wellness, you've got even like the sports side of things, you've got sport, you've got swimsuit. There's so much different variations. But again, you can see you've got to fit the category. When it comes to males, it's height class or weight class or classic, which is bigger now. And then older, young, different age categories. So it's not really about your kind of shape. Then it comes into, okay, hey, are you conditioned enough, or are you lean? Is your tan right? That's quite a simple one. It's like that. If you've done it yourself, it's your own fault. But your muscle maturity, your muscle mass. So they just say like muscle. Okay, you've got enough muscle for that frame, or they talk about your weakened areas. And you might have feedback from every single judge saying that your quads are lacking. And you can't change, unfortunately, the truth is behind it. When you're in prep, you can't change it. You're in a deficit. You cannot change it until you start reversing. So that's where you've got to decide, when do I stop? Okay, because I can't progress this. Now, if you have, like, say, a grade 1, 2, 3, 4 like golf, 1 is the best condition you can get. If you've got grade 1 of conditioning off your first show from multiple judges, by the last show, it's still going to be 1. Now, if you've got a 4 in muscle maturity, you've got very little muscle. You're not going to have more muscle by the end of the season. And that's why sometimes you've got to make the decision, do I actually, like, okay, did I do my first show? Am I doing this for accolades? Do I feel that I brought my best? Doesn't it mean accolades? Oh, I think I could have got better. Okay, well, do another show if you think you could have got better. If you're mentally still there and you're not sacrificing everyone, you've not become an arsehole, because the truth is, that's the biggest thing that I say with bodybuilding as well, is being low food, being tired does not dignify you being a dick, or you being an arsehole, or you being just aggressive. Like, being low food does not dignify you being angry and taking out on others, like that. You've decided to do this. Anyone that's on a cut, you've decided to lose weight. That's your goal. It's not a hardship. It's not.
It's very much a luxury.
It's a luxury. In theory, you've got to that position because you've overate the for a lot of times. So it's okay to be a bit hungry. It's okay to be a bit tired. You're trying to improve yourself. Doesn't mean you take out on everyone else. And that's what happens a lot with about the bodybuilding mindset of being in the trenches. When you feel like you're suffering, you're going to suffer. But the truth is, people say being on stage is a privilege. Being able to compete is a privilege. So if you treat it like a privilege and you understand that, okay, let's not take it on anyone, I'm having a bad day, it's just my hormones, I'm just tired, and it's not because this is who I am, that's when you won't lose sight of yourself.
Understanding, yeah, absolutely. So what did you? So you're saying like if you had like stuff to work on, obviously you can't fix it in prep. And so you would take yourself away, sort that, and then kind of come back stronger, better, sort that area or whatever. Why? So you won though in 2022.
Yeah, and why did
it take so long before coming
why
back?
did I not? So here's the thing. So obviously, in theory, if you go by accolades, not which federation, what class, because I was a novice and first timer. Obviously, first timer means you've never competed before.
Yeah.
Novice means you have competed. You have one. How does it work? So first timer, obviously first show. Novice is it's your first season.
Right.
Okay, you could have won or not won, but your first season, but you have competed in at least one show.
Okay, yeah.
So in theory, that's a very weird class. And I'll clarify why it's weird, is you can be 40, 50, 110 kilos, 64. There's no demographic other than
novice.
I've competed more than once, but this is my first season. So you can have guys that should have competed for the last 20 years.
Right,
like these guys are insane. And this novice wins the overall and becomes a pro in his first season. Well, how is that possible? Yeah, because he should have competed for the last 20 years. Yeah, and then you'll have someone who's got incredibly low muscle mass, a lot of imbalances because he's never been this low, so you've never assessed what is bad. Because again, you can have body fat that sits nicely.
Yeah.
Like when I gain body fat, I've got still more to gain, but my quads become really, really, really big.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, Jan, these are crazy. They don't have definition, but as much definition, but they look big. Yeah. Whereas this stays quite small, but very lean. But then my core expands quite a bit. Yeah. So, but then you might have someone that had body fat, a lot of body fat in their arms, and their biceps look huge. And then when they actually cut down, they've got no arms.
Okay.
Because body fat can sit nicely. Yeah. Like girls with glutes. Yeah. So the whole thing is, I was like, okay, obviously my first year, I was like, okay, I was successful, Could I be more successful? Everyone can be more successful. I was like, okay, come out of it, okay. Now, my judges' feedback was I was imbalanced in my lower and upper. Okay. So I was very lower dominant. And therefore made my upper look way worse. Right. Not saying my upper looked bad, but it looked worse.
Just in comparison,
Because if you was to put cover my upper and cover my lower, it's two different people. Okay, and that's not what bodybuilding's about. Bodybuilding's about symmetry, about balance across the frames, depending on what structure you have. So my whole goal this year was to provide that balance. So I needed to focus on my upper body a tremendous amount. Okay. So when it comes to an upper body, the best probably people to actually compare for upper body is actually men's physique. Right. Because they've got incredibly wide tapers. They look like they've got that superhero build, and they're just so wide. And when you've got such a wide upper body, if you've already got big legs, you create that perfect X frame that bodybuilders want. So it's okay, when I look at a men's physique guy, or someone that's really got a great upper body, what am I looking at? Where do I immediately get drawn to? Drawn to their shoulders, drawn to their lats, drawn to their arms. Yeah? Not their chest, because their chest can kind of get more defined. It's quite blocky, but I'm drawn to those areas. Yeah? So I was like, okay, what's my focus? I will focus on hitting that in frequency and in intensity. Okay. So rather than just have like a bro split where I'm doing chest, back, shoulders and arms, when you get to especially when we're really deep into training, like 6, 7, 10 years, so forth, I was like, you understand that a bro split is great for recovery, but really poor for intensity. Because by exercise 4, if you've really went for it, you're ruined. Let's just say you're really trying to build your lower back and you do deadlifts, conventional. Okay, even let's go low volume and do 2 sets of everything. It's only 8 sets. Okay, you then do hyper back extension. We're gonna do Romanian deadlifts. Okay, well let's go dumbbells. You're gone. No, like, even by that, you're gone. And I was like, so and then it's the same thing for lats. Even though it doesn't feel as central nervous system hitting. If you do chin ups and then you're doing, say, a lat biased row that everyone does now, you're then gonna do let's go a cable row, let's go somewhat like narrow, like a ram horn grip, and then you're going into a machine row. Your lats are gone by exercise, but it's just not as hard.
Yeah.
Because it's not central nervous hitting. But so that bro split doesn't work as much as you might think it does.
Yeah.
So what I did was more like a hyper frequency. I would have 2 or 3 exercises of my lats, and I had lats and delts twice.
Okay.
So I was hitting it in much more intensity and in frequency.
Yeah.
But the recovery was still there because it was separated quite far.
Yeah.
So I really, really brought up my shoulders, my arms, and my lats. But funnily enough, as I had that setup, it also allowed it. One of the biggest things was, as my chest became like kind of a second nature, one of my biggest things I found out was my chest needs almost no volume. So like my chest grew with like 6 sets per week.
Right.
Because I was focused on triceps, whereas again, we can't just isolate the chest completely on dips and close bench and things like that. As I was focusing that on trying to get some good compounds for my triceps. And that became better. My deadlifts was way stronger because my muscles that I was just focusing when I was training with bro splits is let's hit my back. Let's hit my chest. Let's get everything strong. But as I was really focusing on isolations, really just focusing, I just want my lat to be bigger. That's where I need it to be bigger. I want my medial delts to be bigger. It made all my compounds so much stronger because I really brought up the small muscles, and it was shown in my physique. And that's so the biggest thing with with naturals is, I think the growth rate. Now again, I'm not sure this is exact right. I think if growth is capped, it makes sense. There's a percentage of speed that your muscles can gain. It can't go faster. So I used to think that if I have more food, and most people will think this, if I eat tons more food and I train way harder or more, I will grow faster. Rate of muscle is capped. You might be, which is where it gets unfortunate now, I'm going to make everyone sad, is there's a rate of muscle gain. And if everything's perfect, that's maybe as fast as it can go, and that's annoying. So that's where it comes to stage and understanding that I might have to take 4 years now before I go back because the rate is capped. I might be at the most optimal point possible. I might be, and that is frustrating. I might be at the perfect speed of, I might be having perfect recovery. My nutrition might be perfect. My protein's exceptional. My NEAT levels are high enough. My body fat is far enough it needs to be for optimal hormone health. Everything's perfect, and my whole plan is perfect. Exactly what I'm doing. I've got enough lat development. I've got enough sets for my lats to develop. I've got enough erectors. My program is balanced. I can recover from it. And I can't change a thing. And then you're like, okay, this is why people jump ship. It's like what they think is they can get it faster. And the truth is, if everything's perfect, even if the plan isn't enjoyable, but if it's perfect, you might not be able to progress faster. And that's why, in regards to myself, I was like, okay, I took 2 years out. I was okay, and a year off season, then started. So it's still kind of 2. And I was like, okay. And then my biggest fault was where I said at the start was my perceived weight on stage was wrong. So I thought it was going to be 68. So the rule of thumbs of naturals is generally about 10 kilos above. So that means if it's 20 weeks, you have to lose 0.5 kg per week. I was okay. I came in at 83. So I was like, okay, that's 15 kilos, a little bit heavier than I should have been. Okay, but I'm expecting I'm going to be heavier on stage because I've got more muscle mass. Not quite happened. So it ended up, I got to 68. I was like, nah, I'm still nowhere. I'm as lean as because when you start really seeing maturing in a sport, you see the difference between someone who's really good and won, and someone who's won because no one beside him is very good. So I was like, okay, maybe I wasn't versing the top tier condition competitors. Because I can see that my condition at 68 right now, yes, it's better than before. It's not where it needs to be. So I was like, so my first show and second show, I was trying to save it. So that was the NPA British Championships where I came second. My feedback was I needed more glute and hamstring tie, which I knew myself had more fat there. You can't choose where fat comes off. I was like, but everyone else is conditioned. And then my Canada one was the same thing. I just needed to be a little bit leaner. The guy that beat me in Canada, so I came second in lightweight, and third in Classic. Classic has got no weight cap, so that was more impressive.
Okay.
Because that was against middleweights and heavyweights.
Yeah.
But the feedback again was from the whole thing was great structure, great frame, great muscle maturity, balanced physique. So like yes, improved.
Sorted it,
yeah. So I've improved. I can see I've improved my physique. That's when you can see it. It's helpful. But I was like, okay, I'm still not lean enough. But I was like, I'm 67 kilos now. I was like, I've got a few more shows to go. Do I need to go lower? Yeah. I was like, okay, clearly do. So I was like, okay, just keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So it's working. And I was like, my last stage weight was 64. So that was so I lost 21 kilos across 41 weeks of prep.
Wow.
And that was me with having theoretically weeks where I wouldn't try to lose weight. I'd try polish up my look.
Yeah.
So you deplete the carbohydrates. Theoretically, you're in a deficit, but then you have 3 days where you carb load, or like a back load or a front load, where you're adding carbs into your frame just to push your muscles to the surface and really make them that vascular, crazy look.
Yeah.
So those were days that I wasn't on a deficit. Yeah. So I had I had 5 shows. I had, in theory, 5 weeks of that where it wasn't really optimal weight loss.
Yeah.
And and a few of the shows I had like a post-show meal. More of a celebration. Than needed. Pizzas. Now again, so exactly. They had a big pizza in Canada and things like that, and then you got back on it.
Yeah.
But I was like, so the whole thing was, if muscle's capped, you've got a timeline on how you need to get back on stage.
Yeah.
And and that's where I've learned from the 68 and 85. I was way too fat in the off season. And why for reference, my hormones are still incredibly bad just now. So the best thing to do post-show is get a hormone test, Medi-check, things like that, just to see where you are. Hormones are obviously really what defines your building blocks of muscle, fat loss, mood, and that's where people really make a big difference with how long your prep is. Right. My prep was vastly too long, but I didn't feel like it was. Like I felt fresh, I felt fine.
Okay. Yeah.
Brain was good. You wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have known that I was struggling. I wouldn't have known. My sleep was bad, but that's what happens when you're so low at body fat. It just gets. It's because you're so light sleeping. People think, oh, I'm waking up to pee all the time. It's just it must be because I'm drinking too much water. No, it's just because you're so light sleeping. It's easy to start.
Okay.
Yeah. So, my first season, 5 weeks post show, my test was 25, which is normal range between 9 and 30. Which is fine, which is good. Very good for 5 weeks post-show. 5 weeks post, but I also gained 10 kilos and looked fat, really fat. And it's because when you gain weight so quickly, it doesn't sit right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas I gained 2 kilos from my last one, so I was 67.
Right.
Yeah. And still felt fine, felt great. I actually felt really healthy.
Yeah.
Sleep was better. My mood was good. And then I was like, wait, and then I found out my test was 5, which is PCP level, where they actually will give you could in theory go, hey, NHS, like, okay, you need testosterone, you need it as a male. Yeah, okay, and you'd have to have more tests. Yeah, but I could in theory get injections. Yeah, and it was that bad, it was suppressed. So when your test levels are that suppressed, your muscle gain is impossible. Yeah, not impossible, very, 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 very slow. And I think the rate of gain of muscle, even being optimal as I was going back, was like 0.09 grams per day.
Right.
I think it's something like that. It's incredibly low.
Yeah.
So if you times that by 10 days, you've gained 0.9 grams.
Yeah.
So it's not much, especially as a natural lifter. Yeah.
That's across whole body as well.
Yeah. So you see, it's not much. So you can't make a huge improvement across 4 months.
Yeah.
Which is why you can't compete as a natural every single year unless your muscle maturity was perfect. Yeah. So my hormones were so poor that I was like, so even though I felt fantastic, I was still making improvements. I was still feeling sharp. I was still able to, so my activity level, for reference at the end, was 20,000 steps per day, 1 hour cardio, and my lowest food was 600 calories times 7. So I think the macros ended up being 210 protein for satiation, not because I needed more protein. Just to stay as full as I could. Carbs, that's including weighing spinach and all veg, classing that as carbohydrates. 57. And then I think fats were, so in theory it's kind of close to carb neutral, because if we didn't include veg, that was the only carbs I was having. Then fats I think was 40. I think
Right.
that was generally it. So I got to that, so that's where I had for multiple weeks at the end.
Yeah.
I didn't change it because like, okay, there's no point making it more aggressive if it's working. So I
Yeah.
probably 5 weeks before then, when I was still losing, could have had more food, but I just kept it where it was and felt fine. Came out of post show, started to eat some more food, had a little bit of a break, and I was like, I feel fine. I wonder what my hormones are. Oh, it's kind of like a bank balance where you're like, okay, hey, I'm going to save for a house. I'm going to start building muscle. I kind of need to know where I'm at. And then I was like, whoa, okay, this is really bad. This is really bad. And then it's kind of like, this is where your brain, it's like a eureka moment. Yeah, when you feel sad and you now reflect, okay, I'm sad. When you feel ill, when someone tells, okay, you've got the cold, you've got COVID, and then you actually get the test, oh, I do have COVID, oh, I'm ill now. Yeah? I was like, now my body shut down. Digestive system shut down, felt really tired, couldn't sleep again. It was
Just
like,
because you had found out.
because I'd found out. So the whole purpose now that I've got to do, where I'm at now, is I've got to get to a body fat percentage that allows my hormones to now be in a building state.
Yeah.
So it's got nothing to do with calories. I can't just go, hey, let's throw 70,000 calories this week. I'm cured. That's what people think. It's like, oh, well, just eat more. I was like, yeah, I know that. But I was like, if I eat 70,000 calories because muscle gain's capped, yeah, hormones would make sense that it doesn't just recover in one day.
Yeah.
It has to have nutrients get fed quite often.
Yeah.
So that's the most logical sense. It's like, it would make sense. Yeah. I was like, so therefore it has to be a calories over time thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I found the last time when my hormones were great and I had so much food and gained so much weight, I thought I felt shit, but my hormones were great. But I felt crap. I thought I was run down. I was really uncomfortable. Sleep was bad, sweats, really disliked how I was. Mentally, I was awful. And this time, mentally feel great. Cognitive function right now, even though I'm still maybe not perfect, is really sharp.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I'm enjoying training. Recovery's great. But just there, it's not quite there yet. So that means, okay, I just need to be a little bit quicker. So I've just pushed up my food a little bit faster than I was before, because there has to be a Goldilocks. And now, this is where you'll understand where I'm going with this, is as I've took myself through my reverse, I just like my first prep, comparing it, I'll now be able to compare my first reverse and my second reverse. And the second reverse is probably, because of hormones, it's now week 8 and 9, it's still not perfect. I think that's too long. I was too militant on my reverse. That was perfect on prep. But the reason that my prep was also caused my hormones to be bad was because I did it too long.
Right.
And why did I do it too long? Because I started off too fat. Because I thought, again, going back to so you can see it's like a jigsaw. You can see when you see it systematically. Okay, my prep was 41 weeks, obviously because I went to compete at a lot of shows as well. But the truth is, it's because my first prep was 20 weeks before my first show, for reference, and it was 2 weeks between my first and my last. Okay. I was like, so if I could have been prepped a lot shorter if I hadn't been as fat, because I thought if I gained a lot more weight, I would gain a lot more muscle.
I've been there.
Not true. So you actually get sluggish to a point. Your food gets too high that you actually lose insulin. You get insulin sensitive, desensitized. Sorry. And I got to the point where I was like, okay, hold on. I actually got too fat. It was actually worse. And that made my actual ability to have prep way harder. So my prep was 41 weeks. I now know if I only get to 73 to 75 kilos this time, I won't have to be as harsh on my hormones. I won't be suppressing my hormones as long. My hormones will be better to recover quicker. So that will improve, but also I'll know that my reverse needs to be less very less precise, be a little bit more relaxed. So you improve as you improve it individually each time. Easy.
I can't believe you went through like even that bit, like doing the check-ins for yourself as well. That's insane.
It was kind of like a third person. Like, so I was like, okay, example, let's go with one. Like it's probably quite interesting to know from your side. What would a peak week look like? Okay, so it depends. Normally, it takes your body about between 3 to. It depends how carb loaded you are. Let's go generally 3 to 5 days to get into a state of pre-ketogenesis, where your body will start creating carbohydrates, because it needs it for its fuel source. So you need, when it comes to being on a bodybuilding show, carbs work two ways. They can make you look watery, or they can make you look very tight. But the purpose of a depletion or a front load or a back load. A front load means you start with your carbs, say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and you taper it down for the show.
Right.
That's if you're already quite tight.
Yeah.
So so someone that gets very watery and you're like, oh, this guy's got great condition. I do want him to look better, but if I go too aggressive, I've ruined his look, and he looks, especially someone conditioned. If you feel like you can't make a Lambo a Bugatti, but you can make a Lambo like a Fiat. Okay, if you really try change it, and you can make it a lot worse.
Yeah.
Just leave it as it is.
Yeah.
So quite often some people don't like peak weeks because you're trying to alter things,
Right.
and okay, but it's been working. Why are you changing it?
Yeah.
So a frontal load is a safer approach where you start with a lot of carbs and you taper it down, and that gives you a tighter look but not as full.
Yeah.
Okay, because you've got your carbs are coming out of your frame as you go through the week.
Yeah.
A back load is where you basically pull all carbs out. You do 3 days or 5 days, depending on how aggressive.
Yeah.
Of carb neutral. So you might have 4 meals of 100 grams of chicken and a little bit of veg.
Yeah.
That's it. And then you're having your normal water intake. And that's it. That's what you're having for 4 days. And you're training high frequency, which is like upper body, because you don't want lower body inflammation. So you just train upper body. Like a circuit, you might do lat pull down into floor press. Yeah, you might do press ups into, you don't want to do deadlifts, but into bent over row. You want to try and limit lower body and systematic fatigue on the nervous system, because you'll get inflammation. You don't want to get inflammation. You want to. You don't have energy anyway, so you're not going to be able to work to failure. You're going to gas out halfway through the lift.
Yeah.
Everything's high rep, just to get as much energy as possible.
Yeah.
Your walk, you're trying to walk. Your cardio is being intense. You just kind of move. A lot of movement.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you can get your steps up that week to like 20,000 every single day, if that's what you're doing, keep it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, because show's on Sunday. You are now going to do which is called carb loading. So everyone's a bit different, so I'm not going to give an exact number of carbs.
Yeah.
But some people might be 5 times their body weight in carbohydrates. Others might be 10 on day 1.
Right.
So if you're 80 kilos, you're having 800 carbs. So for reference, I found out for like even at 64 kilos, like my metabolic rate's really good. I had to go to 820 carbs.
Wow.
So you can do it, yeah. And basically, what that looks like is it's about, what was it? About 4 kilos of potatoes. Yeah. I think it was like 2 packets of rice cakes, some bananas. Now it doesn't have to be as I thought when I first prepped. It had to be bananas. It had to be potatoes and rice cakes, because that's what I had. It generally has to be carbs that are satiating, that are not too high in fiber. Right. Yeah, because you skin the potatoes and all that as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It could have been bagels, but again, there's a lot of fiber in bread. So if you have too much, you're now bloated. Yeah. So we've got to make sure we don't get you bloated. So it's like, what foods don't get you bloated? What foods do not get you bloated? And that would be your perfect carb loading. Okay. It might be rice. But rice, 4 kilos of potatoes is a lot easier to eat than like probably 2 kilos of rice. Yeah. Also, you're putting water into the rice as well. Yeah. And then, but you're also, some people load water, some people keep water available. The same, it depends what your kind of system is. Yeah. But for example, what often worked for myself was I carb loaded with high water. So my water went up to 9 litres. Wow. Yeah. And then second day you kind of half the amount of carbs. So I was at 400 now. Right. But I was at 7 litres of water. And then, because you're trying to dehydrate the body, and then the third day, your carbs are back to what your original carbs are. So for me, it was back to 100. Okay. My protein was like 200, yeah. And what happens is all it goes, it sucks in, and as your muscles are so brim, your bloat goes away and you look very tight. Yeah. But as your metabolic rate gets slower and slower, you might have to taper that down. And so quite often, in my last few shows, I only did a 2-day carb load. I skipped the first one. And just the second and third. So I just had a 1-day really carb load. Right. Yeah. But then I kept the water levels the same. And I just tried to find it. So one of my shows, which was the second last one, I pulled too much water out and it made me look flat. Okay. Incredibly vascular, but super flat. Shit. And the last show I was I'm just going to put more water in. Yeah. And that's the only variable I did. So I got the lightest, but also looked incredibly full. So so instead of water depleting, like I said, going from 9, 7, and then 4, and then you cut water by 6:30, you don't have water until stage. Right. You have a litre the next day slipping across the day, but barely anything. Yeah. I went, I'm just gonna have 6 litres every single day. Yeah, and then I'm going to have 6 litres on the last day, but I'm still going to cut it by 5 p.m. so it pulls out my frame a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's all I did. That's why sometimes you don't have to, what you do is you learn, and that's what I know. So a lot of my check-ins for myself were, okay, this is what worked with my peak. This is what didn't work.
Yeah.
Okay, this is what others have suggested. This is what I'm thinking. This is what I feel looked good. Do I look better than this stage shot than this one?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, do you know what? I actually looked better in the last show. Oh, I look better in this show. Most shows I looked better. The only show I didn't look as good as was the one where I changed water.
Right.
Yeah, I was like, okay, let's try something new. And didn't pay off.
Yeah.
Why I tried it was quite funny was because I was, for reference, Supernaturals is an incredibly hard show. It's the show that I didn't place top, the only show that I didn't place top 5 in.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was like, so okay, I'm going into this one, and it's for reference. I'm better at lightweight at categories of weight.
Yeah.
Because I'm very big for my weight.
Yeah.
But not for my height.
Right.
Okay. So I look big against people that are light, because I was like, oh, he's not sick. He's a middleweight looking. Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you call it height, you get people that are actual middleweights and actual heavyweights.
Yeah.
You can have people that are 5'4" that are still 80 kilos of pure fridge.
Right.
Yeah. I was like, so that's the truth. That's what Supernaturals was. So I went and I was like, oh God, all these guys are middle and heavyweights. I was like, I'm the only lightweight here. So I was like, so my whole purpose there was, okay, I know that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So why don't I just come in the leanest I possibly can? That's why I came in flat. I was like, let's just see how lean can I be the shredded person on stage.
Yeah.
And that was my goal. It wasn't to compete. It's like, okay, let's just see what my most shredded look is.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. That's why I water pooled. So I was like, that sometimes it's the goal, just experiment, just have fun with it.
Yeah, I think that's why it's important to do things over a length of time as well, because you're going to learn and then come back to the next one's even more prepped and knowing what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and just grow from that. Do you know what I mean? Instead of expecting everything all at once, or going on with the hopes of, I'm awesome, and then you get told you're not, and you're like, that's not for me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Rather than just learning and coming back.
Yeah.
And it, like I know you talked about like the accolades and stuff before, and the same kind of approach is like if I was just going to get a medal or a trophy or that, I would have practiced in a long time ago. Mm-hmm. But the fact, like, I mean, Scotland's last year was 22nd, which was last, but I don't give a shit. That was better than I'd ever competed before.
My first Supernaturals, I think I came. There was 22 on stage. I think I came 18th.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I'm not coming 18th this time. I was like, I think because I got into the second call out, so I was like, I definitely would have not been last. So I was like, I kind of speculate. I was like, I think I came 6th or 7th. I was like, yes, 12 ranks up. Let's go.
Yeah, man, that's progress, isn't it? It's you against you. You're just getting better each time that you do it, rather than who you're competing with on the day. Obviously, it's just nice. It's very nice to be up there on the podium and get the win and stuff. But it's not everything, and it's not what's going to keep you.
But the biggest thing as well is I would say is, let's just say you become incredible this year, yeah, and you win everything. I know, like you're Mitchell Hooper. You were going to win everything. Yeah. And with this, your only goal was to win everything. Okay, it's an incredible lot of stress for next time you compete.
Yeah.
Because you've now hit your peak.
Yeah. Where do you go from there?
Yeah. Where do you go from there? Because if your only goal is to win, you can't go any higher, and it's very hard to motivate yourself to stay where you are.
Yeah, to maintain.
Exactly, to maintain than to progress. To be an underdog trying to progress, it's a bit like, it's got a bit of a story. To be like, I'm the greatest, I'm just going to maintain it. It doesn't hit as hard, and that's why it can't just be your goal just to be accolades. You have to enjoy it, but you have to have that purpose. Like, hey, you know what? I actually just like what I do.
Yeah, that's enjoying the process is going to keep you going for a lot longer, I think. You've done 5 shows last. Is that normal? 5 shows in a season?
So it would depend on how long the season is, and your burnouts. So if you became end stage lean, which I wasn't, as I found out in my first show, off show 1, I might unmanage 3.
Okay.
Yeah. If I got what I needed, I was like, okay, I just wanted to go into my first show, see how I look against other people that are my height or age, and be like, oh, do you know what? I am definitely not there. Then and they're mature enough to leave. They'll only have 1 show. You'll have people that'll do 30 shows.
Wow.
And the reason mainly is because they want as much accolades as they can.
Yeah.
And that can be two reasons. It can be one, hold on, I've not won yet. I need to win first, so I can tell people I've won.
Yeah.
Or two, I am dominating. Why stop here?
Yeah.
Let's go on a full assault. Let's win everything.
Yeah.
Like, I've won that show. Well, how much more can I win?
Yeah.
And you can see that's the momentum thing. We were like, okay, well, I've done what I need to do. So it's different now. It's like I've done what I needed to do. I got what I wanted.
Bonus.
Let's just have a bonus run. I think that's where it can depend entirely on the individual.
Yeah.
I was like, so normally it's better to just do more than one, because one doesn't mean you're going to look your best.
Yeah.
And it's got nothing to compare it to.
And the experience thing as well.
And you're nervous. Your very first competition, you're super nervous.
Oh yeah.
You actually kind of like float. You don't really actually remember it. I can't remember I remember coming off my very first show, the first timer one, and I was talking to a guy. I just remember he had yellow shorts, yellow like pants. Yeah, and he was like, "Oh, hey, what class were you in?" I was like, "Oh, I was in first timer short. What about you?" He's like, "First timer short." Yeah, and he was like,
even noticed him before.
Yeah, and he didn't notice me, and I didn't notice him. And what was worse was when you get the stage shots back, he was next to me.
Oh no way.
Yeah, and you've got to remember on a lot of your symmetry poses when you do this, and you're facing the person.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was so just like focused on am I posing right?
Yeah.
Can you see me? Yeah, that I didn't even notice the people. And every show after that, this season, my whole thing was I wanted to go in. I wanted to not just be like that lonesome person, because I solo traveled for 90% of them. I went to Canada myself, didn't take anyone with me, just went myself to everywhere. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to just be this one that puts the headphones in and just ignores everyone. I was like, okay, I'm going to try and, because bodybuilding is kind of like family oriented a little bit as well.
Okay.
I was like, it is like a culture of bros.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, do you know what? I'm actually going to meet people here that are like-minded. And actually, I'd had some great conversations with a lot of the guys. Cool. And I was like, and the difference is before my first season, like I couldn't tell you one competitor that I competed with.
Yeah.
I couldn't. I can tell you about 15, their names and where they live.
Nice.
Yeah, well, not to their exact address. I'm not going to say that either. Yeah, but the difference is I know what they did, I know why they did it. Yeah, I know what shows they did before. And a lot of them kind of came into the same like-minded thing as they actually just enjoy competing. Yeah. Yeah. And a few of them that you thought were like when you see someone always do posts like okay, like example, I came fourth. I was like, oh, I'll be back. I was like, redemption arc. You're like, oh, shut up. Yeah. Came fourth. I was like, no one cares that much. Yeah. He's still our redemption arc. Yeah. I was like, you thought, okay, this guy's definitely ego-driven. And then he talks about it, he's actually completely different. It's like that's why the social media side and the person can be a bit muddled. Yeah. Whereas if I hadn't spoke to him, I'd be like, no, I don't want to talk to this guy. Yeah. This guy is so egotistical. It's like came forth in a show that no one knows about. I was like, you guys, you've not heard the last of me.
Now out for blood.
Yeah. I was like, you're gonna see this redemption art, and now they go into the trenches. They've got black and white. They've got black and white posts. They've got their hoodie up and their hat. Yeah. Yeah. And they've got posts where they're just like it's from the back, and it's got like warrior.
Going their villain.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, they've got their pre-workout here. They're mixing the pre-workout with their monster because they're that crazy. They're dry scooping.
Yeah. Yeah. Just going full psycho.
Yeah.
As much. So were you the 5 shows? Were you just taking it one at a time and then we book into the next one?
My whole thing was I wanted to get to my whole thing was that I was doing it I actually did my prep last year. Obviously, I wanted to do better. Yeah. And since look better, I didn't really care about my accolades. I tried to make sure that because that was the biggest thing that my first season I got incredibly stressed over wanting to podium place. Yeah. Not win, I wanted to place in the podium. Yeah. So if I came third, brilliant at podium.
Somewhat humble.
Yeah. Yes, humble but somewhat not. Yeah. I think this year that was the biggest thing that made it uncomfortable for me. I'm just gonna go in and if I can look better every show, and I can look better. I knew I'd improve, but after my first comparison, my first show, if I can improve and see where's my best, what's the best I can look. But also, where's my death point? Yeah. Where's my cliff dive? Where do I get to? Oh, I feel great. I am gone. Yeah. Like I remember zombified. I'm crying 24/7. As I'm staring into space. Yeah. I'm walking like a zombie. Where's that? So every show, I was like, oh, do you know what? I still feel fine. Yeah. I still feel fine. And that's why I said about the hormone health. It's like I still felt fine. There was clearly a point that hormonally I had been cliff dived. Yeah. But because either my mental state was completely just bypassing it. Yeah. And therefore physically I was bypassing it too. I was trying to get to the point where I felt dead and I was completely done. Yeah. And that didn't happen. But I also got to the point where I was like, do you know what? I've done enough shows. So I got to the point where mentally I was like, okay, I don't really have as much drive now. I'm 41 weeks in. I was like, I've done enough. I was like, I can focus on other things now. I was like, and that again, where you got to make sure, like, remember, bodybuilding is kind of an egotistical sport, and it's very, very lonesome in the sense where you're going to go to meals, and your wife or husband, they're going to be having a meal, and you're not, and it's kind of like, it's not as satisfying for them because they want you to fully participate. But you're like, oh, I'm here, I'm having a meal prep, I'm here with you in person, but you're not fully participating. So there's a point where that gets boring for them too. It gets to a point where your family, your friends have took a back seat enough. Your business, your career, you can tell there's a point where your cognitive function is not quite there. There's a point where other things are starting to get conflicted, and there's a point where you have to go, okay, hold on, am I chasing accolades now? Okay, I'm not, so why am I continuing this? Or, okay, I'm now being stupid. A win doesn't mean that much now when I'm probably going to get a divorce. I'm going to break up with my kids now hate me.
Sacrifices are not worth it.
I was like, there's a point to it. So that's the one probably difference I'd say of bodybuilding is from your sport is you sacrifice time. But I wouldn't say you sacrifice everything else. And that's where I said bodybuilding can be seasonal for that reason. You can't compete every single year because if you do it every single year, you're probably going to be single. You're probably only going to have bodybuilding as your thing if that is what you want. Brilliant.
I think that I would probably say strongman similar on this, not quite to that extent, but having a really understanding support network super important. Otherwise, you just need to be on your own. It can be incredibly lonely. But I think having a super supportive network that understands everything that you're doing, or at least why you're doing it, you need that. Otherwise, it's going to be super difficult.
But it's why you'll find a lot of bodybuilders become bodybuilding couples and strongmen
they understand.
A strongman might have someone either A who's a foodie who cooks a lot of food and loves having high meals, or B likes sport is just training. I was like, don't say they have to come to the gym and be a gym bunny, but just actually likes training. It's very hard for any sport, at a really, as I said, that 1% where you really try to take it to the next level. If you're a casual gym goer, it's very easy to have someone who hates the gym. But if you're trying to get to the best in your field, like one of my goals is to become a natural pro. I know one of your goals, Scottish, what was his Scottish World Strongest Man? The Scottish Strongest Man. That's one of your goals. To be that 1%, you have to start being a little bit more selfish, or a bit more driven, or you've got to be much better at calculating time and being more effective with your protocols.
It takes a lot of time.
Because there's one of the ones. So if you have no more time, you have to be more effective. If you have a lot of time, you're just bad at it, and you thought you had no time, get a better balancing. That's where you can still have great time with life goals. But if you've got no more time available and you've got nothing, you've got to either slow your expectations or you just go do it longer. And that's why one of the things is my thing is I understand that I'm not going to get pro in maybe 3 seasons. I might get an 8. I might get in 7. I might get in 6. Who knows? If I keep knocking at that door, if you keep knocking at the door competing, the likelihood or the probability that you will be successful is more. Doesn't mean it will happen. And that's the one thing as well. That's why my driving force can't be just to become pro. Okay, let's say I became pro next year. Okay, I'm not competing next year, but let's say I did. Okay, you don't care. To be honest, I was like, a lot of my friends are like, all right, cool. But does that mean you get lots of money? I was like, not really. I could just compete again in a different circuit. Yeah. And it could potentially get money. Oh, are you getting a lot? I was like, no, and actually you get like 1,000 max. I was like, so you don't even get a job from that. I was like, what's it for? It's
that
like,
can't be the drive.
Yeah. I was like, that can't be it. It's a license. It's like a forklift license. Yeah. It's not small. You don't even get to keep the huge.
The big one, yeah.
I was like, it can't be the only driving force, because that's where it comes into the vain nature. I was like, okay, I want it. It's like, do you want, at the very, very, very start, I was like, do you want, is your driving force for you to be proud of how you look? Yeah? Or do you want others to be like to say, hey, that guy looks like he tries? And a lot of people's driving force is, again, unfortunately, the other one, which again does not work long term.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that kind of thing, like, try to be more internal, more intrinsic drive rather than external drive. Like, that's so fickle. Like, if you're relying on other people telling you look good, or you're strong, and you're like, great. Like, who gives a shit? You know, you're still going to go about your own day, and it's not going to make a bit of difference. But you be forever chasing that. That kind of approval from other people. Whereas if it's intrinsic and it's you versus you, and you approve of what you're doing, and you progressing and getting better, and it's do you know what I mean? That's going to be longer lasting, more sustainable. Yeah,
that's why I said, like, the sport you choose is to be the one. Okay, I'm going to be me against me, and you do what you're, especially in a lot of the sports we're in. Obviously, we are against people.
Yeah.
So we do have to have that element of, I need to try to be better than you.
Yeah.
You do have to have that competitive nature, but there's a line between being an arrogant arsehole, and I'm better than you. Yeah, I want you to know it.
Yeah.
And I'm better than you, but I was like, you did fucking amazing.
Yeah,
I was like, And I was like, so it's trying to find that without going, oh, you did amazing, good job.
Yeah.
You're really proud of yourself. That's patronising.
Yeah.
So it's like trying to find that balance, and that's where, again, I said, like, a big thing for me was like, okay, let's have some cognitive function, because there's going to be a point where emotionally you're just going to become so dull that you're just either going to be arrogant, or you're going to be there's no drive. And you look like, oh, he hates this. That's the other thing. I was like, you get to a point where you're probably gonna have so little energy. Like, you've had probably days in the gym where you've been so tired and run down, but it's a routine. I have to do it. You've not enjoyed it, and you can tell others know you've not enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the bit of taking that emotion out of it and just getting done what needs to be done.
But you don't want to have let's say you go to your competition, you don't want that to be the day you have the enjoyment. Yeah. I was like, so the whole purpose, like, you should be enjoying that end point. So a lot of people get to the end of the stage. That's another reason why they only do one show, is they get to the end, which is meant to be the most exciting point.
Yeah.
Okay, they compete. They get to show what they've done. They show themselves. And let's just say, like, regardless of where they place, let's just say this guy or girl they just want to be on stage. That's their goal.
Yeah.
They want to just show up. And they show up, and let's say they come third. They've got a podium, didn't do the best, but they didn't do the worst. There was 8 people in their category. There was just 3. Yeah. And then they have a post meal, and then they leave feeling flat, and they didn't enjoy it whatsoever. Yeah. Then they're like, okay, if they didn't enjoy it, was it because they didn't place where they want to place, or they didn't like it? Yeah. And if they didn't like it, why did they do it? I was like, so that should be the highlight. That's what you did all that 50, 30, 20 weeks for. That 10 minute on stage. Yeah. That's how long it is, by the way, sometimes.
Really?
It's like, one of my classes, I was on stage for like 3.5 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. And then the other one, on Poland, there was 31 on stage. I think it was 31. I was on stage for almost an hour.
Wow. Just because so many people.
Yeah, so they do first call outs, they do another round, and they'll take people do mandatories, then they'll swap people out, and then they'll do the other people as well, so no one knows where they're placing. Jeez. And then I had to go back for the night show and do the same thing again. And
it's a long time to be on a show.
So I was like, whereas one of them was only 3 minutes.
Smiling and looking pretty.
Yeah, it's not even that. It's like symmetry. You've got to look like you're relaxed, but you have to contract.
Yeah.
Muscularity, you can pull your face as you like. You just want to show as much muscles as possible. Yeah. But still, you don't want to look like you're like going to pass out. Yeah. And so that's the kind of thing when it comes to bodybuilding. Is like, so men's physique, you've got to look relaxed all the way through. It's more model based. Yeah. But the whole thing is, I was like, you can be on stage for like, there's 3 minutes, and if you did all that effort, and think how much hours you're on the Stairmaster, and for that 3 minutes, and you're like, was that really worth it?
Feel like 10 seconds.
Regardless of where I came, and if you look at it like that, that's going to be the true representation of sometimes how you compete.
Yeah.
You might be so clear a day that you're going to win, that everyone else is not ever, no matter what you do now, you can just stand there, and you've definitely going to win, and you're like, okay, I won. Why is that so flat? And I was like, if you win as well, and that's the other thing, is that you might win and like, okay, that was okay, what next? That's why some people compete over and over again, because like, okay, they think it's because maybe they've not done it enough, they want the next stage. Okay, it didn't mean as much, I want to get more. Maybe I was too nervous, maybe I was just at low energy. But then if you win and like, okay, it's so flat, I was like, that's where you think, okay, am I in the right sport? Because you that should be your highlight. Like you not only did you do the thing you loved, that you thought you loved, you won it, you were the best at it on that day, and then you're like, oh, it's flat, and I'm like, oh, like I remember my MPA win. I was like, so I got I won 2 weeks before that at like a Penistone one, I think the MPA, I can't remember what it was called, but yeah, I won that one, and that one I don't even remember winning. I remember like there's a video of me me going like first, second, third, and I'm like I think I'm like clenching my hands to death, and then like third gets called, I'm like I think I'm like this, second, and then they call second, and I'm like, and then it clicked, and then I start just crying, and then I remember walking, I remember being like this, and like holding up the medal. I think I did a side chest pose, and then I don't remember leaving stage, but I did leave stage. But I don't remember leaving stage until I was sitting on like the stage with like this. Whereas, which you'd think the 2 weeks after, because that was my first win, because my whole thing was redemption arc, because I came 4th in my first show. This is about the competing. It's like redemption arc. I have to be better. And then that second show, which didn't really mean that much, it was a normal like a regional show. And won that, and I was like, wow, that was great. And then the third show, I actually was at this point, I was like, okay, let's just see what happens. I wasn't expecting my British to anything happen. And I won it, and which is really weirder, I was like, oh yes, great. It didn't mean it still meant a lot. I was still really, really happy and proud, but it wasn't like that time stopped. But and that's someone that like that, so like, that's why I said like that's why I realized that no, I actually care more about the sport and looking better than the actual accolades. So this year, like I remember every single time as I traveled myself, like my family are not really into like bodybuilding. They're in it because I'm into it. But they don't. Bodybuilding's not very healthy, so they don't like it. But I remember it was in Canada. It was my second show, and like so. As I placed 4th in my WBF my first time, and I placed like 19th, 20th, who knows. I was like, okay, I didn't click until I went left stage, like okay, second and third in like quite big classes. And I was like, I phoned my mum, I was like, oh, okay. Just when I was phoning, I was like, oh, eureka, that's the highest I've ever placed in a WBF show. Cool. And then, but then I phoned her 3 times. And she doesn't even care. I was like, oh, she cares.
To tell somebody.
She cares. I was like, oh, to speak to her. I was like, oh, I did a show. I was like, I just kept crying. It took three times before I actually said like and it wasn't because I was proud of how far I came. I did my first international show, travelled to Canada myself. Had to regulate time zone. I coached myself like to do all the things in protocol strike. So everything was done me, and so why I felt so proud was a lot of times in life you're gonna have some form of help, and this is why I'm very, very proud of my last season, because most things in life, whether it's like a sports specific coach or you're just a job, you've had help. That was entirely me. Like there's not one thing that I controlled my brain, I controlled the data, I controlled my emotions, I did the flights, I did everything, and not one thing was someone else's. Right. Does that make sense? So it's like I wasn't proud because I came second and third, because it was because like no, yes I did play. It was obviously great that I did better. I was like, but I also did better, but that was all me. I could have come last, but I was like, that was all me. Yeah? And I was like, and that's why every time I competed, I was like, no, as long as I'm feeling like, okay, this is all me, I feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah? And I was like, so that's where I was like, then I got to the point where I was like, okay, and my very last show in Poland, I was getting to the point now where I was deep in prep now, that it was like, okay, these little tiny little things matter. Like, okay, how much water you had on the day. And I was getting so hyper analysed. And as I'm a data guy, I was trying to think of everything, what I was doing. And I was getting to the point now where, like, if you said, oh, Stuart, you're looking a bit flat, I'd be like, I need a carb load. Yeah? And, you know, not because you were saying anything bad. It's, oh, Stuart, you're really lean. Or, like, I thought you'd be reverse starting next year, last year you'd be bigger.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you saying that I'm looking really small now? Yeah, have I lost muscle mass? Yeah? Or, because you get to a point where you get sensitive to others' opinions.
Yeah.
Even so, when I was coaching, I was like, okay, I'm getting to the point now where subjectively, this is where I knew I was coming into the end.
Yeah.
Subjectively, I'm losing. I didn't before. You could have told me I was going to give a shit, and there wasn't a point, a eureka point, where I woke up like, no, I can't be subjective. Obviously, it tapers gradually, and I got to the point where when someone said, oh, actually, I think you should add a bit more. You should do a carb load for like 3 days, or a carb load for 2 days, or hey, have you thought about depleting for 4 days? Have you thought about water? Are you going to water deplete this time? I was like, do you think I should water deplete? And then I was starting to value their opinion more than mine. I was like, okay, now I've lost the whole purpose of why I was doing this. The original whole goal was, I will use my systematic approach and learn what I can replicate for others and for myself. And now I'm getting to the point where it's like cooks for broth. Everyone's throwing in their opinion, and I'm now, okay, I'll do that, and I'm just going to ruin the process. So I was like, okay, that's my last show. That's why.
Yeah. You're going to take a massive amount of like relatability because you coach other bodybuilders as well, and like that experience back to it as well. So like you know, from when we worked together in Pure, like I wasn't coming from a university background or like fucking mad degrees in anything. It was all experience. It was just experience and relatability, and that's what I bring to the table for clients. So like the more like it's walking the walk, doing all that shit and going and fucking things up, or getting it spot on. It's all you can use it to move forward. That experience is invaluable. See, the 5 comps that you've done, so you've done Canada one, you've done Poland, and the rest in the UK?
I did the NPA Championships in Birmingham. I then did Canada. I then did Ireland.
Oh, okay.
I almost forgot about that one. I did Ireland. I then did Birmingham again, and then I did Warsaw.
Cool.
Yeah. So I was like,
why those comps? Were those particular important ones?
Not really. So what I was trying to do when I was organising was, okay, I want it to be close enough together. That I'm not having a huge gap. I want them to be like, and I want to have like momentum, but I don't want them to be 1 week, 2 week, 3 week, 4 week, 5 weeks. Because of traveling. Because remember, we still got to do other things. Like I still do PT. I still do. I can't let my business completely fall off. But also I need to balance that as well. But also traveling 5 weeks in a row sounds like hell. And especially having multiple different like peak weeks and things. You can't peak for one and then peak for the other, then the other, and the other, and the other. You've got to choose. Okay, what's your important show? So I wanted them to be like 1 or 2 weeks apart each time. So that was really how I did it. I was okay. How do I have multiple shows, but I don't have them back to back, or I can have 2 back to back. Oh no, I did 6. I did gym. I did a non-tested show as well. I forgot about that.
Just for shits and giggles.
That's it. I did. I forgot about that. That didn't even click. So the 6. I just kept that one quiet. But so that was the last one. Was that after? No, that was before Poland.
Okay.
So I had Birmingham. I then had Canada. I then had UK show, Birmingham again, or Ireland, one of the two. I can't remember. I think it was Ireland, then Birmingham. I then had one that was 2 weeks before, because there was a gap of like I think 6 to 8 weeks between my last show, and it got to a point where I needed someone to focus on. It was so deep in prep. I was like, okay, it's too long, so I threw that one in. And that was in Milton Keynes. And then I had the Poland one to finish.
Wow.
I was like, now why I chose those shows was again just like time wise. But then I was like, okay, what shows? Where do I want to go? Like I chose Canada. That why I chose that one is because okay, where do I want to go that I wouldn't go for a holiday?
Okay.
And I was like, so like I would go to Spain for a holiday or like a chill. Where was somewhere that I would probably actually never visit? But then if I did visit and then enjoyed it, I'd visit again.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so I actually would visit Canada again because I enjoyed it.
Cool.
Yeah. But I went to so I was like, okay, I've been to Poland before. I was like, in Poland was nice. Yeah, I was like, okay, I'll go there. I've done there before. But I was like, so I was like, if I could chose Poland, being somewhere like Uruguay. Yeah. I was like, you wouldn't just say, hey, let's go to Uruguay.
Yeah.
It's probably a lovely place, but I would never know because it wouldn't be my first choice.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, if I can choose a few places that'll be not my first choice and I get to experience it, like, wow, this is a great place. Yeah. It'll start making me travel and be a bit more cultured as well. And I was like, okay, so that's why I did that. So I was like, if I could have done 7 international shows and they were all different places, and they were easy enough to get to that wasn't going to be like, okay, I'm spending 5k on a flight, and I've now got no money left over. Yeah, I would have done that. But I wanted one international show because I'd never done that the first season. Yeah. And then this next time I'll do it is I'll probably compete in Canada again, but then I'll probably choose another. I won't choose Poland one, not because Poland show was the best show. Yeah. It was the most. I'd say that it had the best like videography, it had the best stage. Yeah. It was really, really, really upmarket. Like best venue, it was huge, and it was like a proper like a sports stadium, like lights, you name it, like WWE entrances with lights, and I was like, it was really, really cool. It was really upmarket. So I was like, I would go there again, but I was like, do you know what? I was like, Poland itself is incredibly freezing. Really, really cold. And I was like, okay, very cheap, but really, really, really cold. So I was like, okay, I'd now choose a different location. Yeah, okay. I was like, so it's just like, if I, like, you want to try different places as well. And if you can compete in, okay, you're going to go, I think there's a lot, yours a lot in like India, in Indonesia and Malaysia, is there not? Is there not a lot of giant events there? There
are like a lot in America, a lot of really good ones in America, which is a bit annoying. There's a few dotted about Europe, particularly in like, is it Germany, Denmark? I'm not entirely sure.
So if it worked out and you said, okay, hey, actually both are cost effective, you're choosing between Germany and the US. Yeah. You're going to choose the one that you want to go and see.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, now, especially at that cost.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, if they're both the same, you're like, okay, most people would choose to go on holiday to the States because it's warmer. Yeah. And but then so you might go, okay, I know I'm going to go there eventually. Yeah, because the kids want to go there. Yeah. Or I was like, okay, I'll choose Germany then. So that's why I did that. Okay, I chose the one that I would less likely go to on a holiday.
Yeah, fair enough. That's pretty cool. You tick off places.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's decent. So what next? Will you take another year out to develop on that before you compete again, or?
Yeah. So my feedback this time is generally I now need just a little bit more size. Okay. But I'm balanced, but I just need more size. Cool. And specifically, if there's any areas that would make me very, very competitive, it would be again my lats. That's why I said I focused on improving that the whole time. Yeah. And then it's still the muscle that they want me to move more. That's not saying my back wasn't very defined or didn't have that X frame. It's just that if I had a bigger X frame, even better. Yeah. So my focus on that now. The thing that I've got to focus on first right now is now that I know my hormones are not in the state to really optimize. So I've still got to go through my health phase. Yeah. So this health now, unfortunately, it's a bank balance. Like I don't know exactly how long it'll take. Yeah. So I'm going to test it in 2 weeks' time again. It might be fixed because I don't know because I feel fine. Yeah. So I was like, it might be a bad reading. It might have been a wrong. It's possible. Yeah. I was like, but I'll compare it to if I see it rising, I know what I'm doing right. Yeah. I'll change nothing. And then it'll just be a point of, I would probably take at least a year. I'd get to, like, my goal is to get to 75 kg. Yeah. I'll hold that kind of weight. I will try and add a little bit more and feed a bit more food. Try and get as much food as high as I can. Yeah. Because the higher food I can get, the more food I get in prep. Okay, yeah. So if that's why high activity, high food's better. Yeah. I used to think that if I had a lot of cardio and high steps, I was minimizing muscle gain because all the calories is going there. Right. Yeah. When it's different is you really only gain muscle on a growth phase and a surplus.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you get to, and weight not moving does not mean you're not in a surplus, because you can be kind of losing body fat or losing glycogen and adding muscle mass. And muscle mass being at that rate, you won't see the scale increase 0.09 per day. Yeah. So I used to think if I held that weight at 73, I'm not progressing. So I'll just get heavier and heavier and heavier.
Okay.
Yeah. But now I understand that's not the case.
Yeah.
I understand it just makes my cut longer. So in theory, me being 85 and have to drop down to 64 made 41 weeks of no weight gain. I could not progress muscle for 41 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Wow.
Yeah, and plus all this. Yeah?
Yeah.
Whereas before, I used to think, okay, if I have cardio in place, I'm going to now lose muscle gain. Yeah? So my job now is to, how long can I keep us, just gradually pushing 50 calories, and keep the same weight? I want to try and prolong my bulk. The longer I'm in a surplus, the longer I'm in a muscle gaining phase.
Yeah.
Whereas before, I used to think, okay, if I can get to a weight very quickly, I'm maximizing profits. When I'm actually decreasing it, because I'm going to go to a maintenance phase or a slight cut now because I'm too fat. So I've only got like a 10-week growth phase.
Right.
So prolong your growth phase means you get longer rate of gain.
Yeah.
And the best way to have that is to have high activity.
Yeah.
Because if you have high activity,
rather than lower foods.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So if I have low food, my performance is not as good. My recovery is not as good.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I have high food, recovery is good, performance is good, mind's good, sleep's good. Yeah. I have a lot more flexibility in my life, like with friends and family meals.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also the high activity, if you go by steps, okay, it's kind of not a big deal. Yeah. If you go by cardio, you've got good heart and lungs.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you throw cardio back into your prep or your cut, it doesn't feel like this is a curse. This is awful. I'm so unfit.
Recoverability as well. That's a big one for me. Is why I've put cardio in my program now. Is recoverability, and I hate it, but for the benefits of it, seeing it at the other side in a few weeks, in a few months, that payoff's going to be massive.
That's the other thing is with the cardio side of things is you look at it like this. So I looked at cardio differently now than I as a coach than I did as a individual.
Right.
So how I look at, so a lot of the stuff that I've started to realize now is most people are not like me and you, where we want to be the very best, so we will eat shit and sleep on nails. Okay, so we'll be uncomfortable no matter how uncomfortable we're fine. Yeah. Is most people, I found that that's the most optimal approach, the best rate of progress. Yeah. A lot of what I've realised now is a lot of it comes down to, do you enjoy it, as I said about, okay, for lifestyle clients.
Yes, keep it more sustainable.
So what you've got to do is, okay, for example, an assault bike or a Stairmaster or a climb mill is probably the most efficient time versus calorie burning cardio kit. It's also probably the three most miserable.
Horrific,
And so if I was to throw a client on that, their rate of progress would probably be quicker. But also their rate of failure will be higher. A conventional deadlift versus a hex bar deadlift or trap bar, the rate of injury is likely, because of their ability to do it right, higher. But so is the rate of success. So it's kind of like that. So when I look at cardio now, like, okay, I could throw someone doing a Stairmaster or an incline walk. Incline walk, they're more likely to do, and they're more likely to do more of it, and they actually enjoy it. And if they enjoy it and they don't feel so, a Stairmaster, climb mill, assault bike will really tire your legs out. And your leg days might really rapidly get worse. Whereas an incline walk, you don't really feel bad. If you swim, you don't really feel, oh, I'm wiped out. So their recovery's better. So the recovery's better, they enjoy it more, they're likely to do more of it.
It might take longer, but it's more sustainable.
Is that not a more efficient cardio for them? That's therefore, even though that's more optimal, because they're more likely to do it and keep it going and progress it.
So it's optimal for them.
So a Stairmaster, they won't progress, they'll just keep it level 4 all the way through because it's hard. But an incline walk, they've now went up 3 incline levels, they're progressing it. So see which one is progressible. And that's why before I used to think, okay, if I can write the best program, what's the one that can get them to the fastest rate of progress? And then I was like, wait, Gary really doesn't care. He doesn't really care if I'm doing a flat dumbbell chest press, because it's way better to maximize the chest growth than a barbell press. He likes flat bench. So why am I making him do it?
Better that than nothing.
Because like he hates flat dumbbell. flat dumbbell lifting's boring, it's uncomfortable, you can't kick it upright.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why am I making lifestyle clients do that just because the rate of gain might be a 0.000005% rate faster? Obviously, it's not measurable, but so that's what I've started to mature as a coach to understand is that we don't always have to have everything completely the fastest rate possible. That's why I said about the ramp up, because most people don't have an exact time frame and they don't want to be the best. They just want to be happy.
Yeah, and it matters as well. Otherwise, we wouldn't really be in a job, because you could just scientifically write the perfect program, and everybody would do it, and it would be fine.
Yeah, and that's why I coached my bodybuilding clients a little bit differently than I coach my lifestyle clients. Okay. They've got the same knowledge basis. I'm trying to improve their knowledge levels, but I'm letting them understand. Like you see, I'm just clarifying. The best cardio might be this. But you don't want to do that. Yeah, so I'm giving you this one because the difference is you won't do that. You'll stop doing that 2 weeks time. You'll do that one for 4 weeks. So yes, you might progress faster with that one, but you will do that one longer. And that's where, now that I've told that that's why I collaborate a lot more now, is when I tell them that and they're like, no, do you know what? I want to do that one, Stuart. Because even though and then actually they force themselves to like it because they think that one's going to get them faster progress. And psychology. No, Stuart wants me to do that one because he thinks I can't do it. No, I'm going to do that one and prove him wrong. And that's where you start finding out what pushes people's buttons. Is it me? That wasn't me telling them they're shit. Or they aren't capable of doing it. It's me saying I think you're more likely because that's more comfortable to you. Like, no, I'm going to be uncomfortable. I'm going to prove you wrong. And that's where you start seeing people where some people need that more coddling approach. Like, okay, I agree, sure, that's much better. And then people are like, nah, I'm doing that one. And then you start seeing which people you can start being a bit more uncomfortable because you thought they have to be very comfortable. You can say, no, this guy can be a bit harder. I can be a bit more aggressive with this guy.
Yeah, that's the game. Awesome, man. I better let you shoot.
It's all good.
Appreciate you coming in, man. It was fucking awesome.